The city never slept, but that night felt different. Lights flickered, the air carried a strange chill, and every sound echoed with tension. People moved quickly through the streets, not knowing why they felt uneasy. Above them, shadows stretched long across the buildings, and an ancient conflict was about to begin. This was no normal night, and the city itself seemed to hold its breath. Spider-Man swung across the rooftops with sharp focus. He had fought crime before, faced villains, and saved lives, but something inside him told him that tonight's battle would not be like the others. He felt it deep in his bones, as if the air whispered warnings he could not ignore. His instincts were never wrong, and they told him to be ready for war. Far below, a roar echoed through the alleys. It was not the sound of any human voice. It was something primal, something alien. The ground trembled, and walls cracked as Venom emerged from the darkness. But this was not the Venom Spider-Man had fought before. His body was larger. The white and gold streaks across his skin glowed with otherworldly energy, and his eyes burned like fire. He had evolved into something more dangerous, something beyond human understanding. Spider-Man landed on a rooftop and looked down at his enemy. The people scattered, running in fear, their screams filling the night. Cars swerved off the road, alarms blared, and the city fell into chaos. Venom stood tall in the middle of the street, his fangs shining under the neon lights. His tongue flipped across the air, tasting fear, enjoying the terror he caused. He wanted Spider-Man to come to him. He wanted this fight, and he wanted it to end in blood. Spider-Man's heart raced, but he did not let fear control him. He knew what Venom had become, and he could see that this transformation was not natural. Something else was behind it. A deeper force had changed Venom, something alien, something tied to the stars. The golden veins glowing across his body were not random. They pulsed like circuits, like living technology. Spider-Man realized this was no longer just about protecting the city. This was about survival against a force older than Earth itself. First clash came like lightning. Venom leaped with a roar, his claws tearing through the air. Spider-Man flipped backward, narrowly avoiding the strike, but the ground shattered where Venom landed. Cars flew into the air, concrete broke apart, and shockwaves ran through the streets. Dust and smoke rose around them, making the scene look like the end of the world, but Spider-Man stayed calm. He had to fight smart, not just strong. Every move mattered now. The two circled each other, eyes locked, bodies tense. Venom grinned with teeth sharper than blades. "You can't stop me this time," he hissed, his voice like thunder. Spider-Man said nothing. He only raised his hands, ready to defend, ready to strike, ready to do whatever it took to protect the people who were counting on him. This was more than just a battle between hero and villain. It was a war between survival and destruction. Suddenly, Venom charged again. Faster than before, his claws striking like lightning. Spider-Man blocked, rolled, and countered with webbing, but Venom ripped through it like paper. Their fists collided with the sound of thunder, each punch echoing through the city like cannon fire. Sparks flew when Venom's claws scraped against Spider-Man's armor, and blood filled the air when Spider-Man's fist struck Venom's jaw. Neither backed down. Neither surrendered. The fight was only beginning, and both knew it would end with one standing and the other broken. As the battle raged, Spider-Man's thoughts raced. He needed answers. What had turned Venom into this? What power had fused with him? And more importantly, how could he defeat it? The longer they fought, the more Spider-Man realized this enemy was no longer just Venom. He was something greater, something alien, something born from the darkness of space. The city trembled under their war, but this was only the first strike of a storm that would shake the entire world. The battle shook the streets like an earthquake. Buildings rattled, glass shattered, and alarms screamed across the city. People kept running, but no matter how far they went, the sounds of war followed them. Spider-Man and Venom were not fighting as men, they were fighting as forces of nature. And the city was the battlefield. Spider-Man swung between the collapsing structures, moving fast, trying to pull Venom away from the crowd. Every move he made was with precision, each web shot designed to control the chaos. But Venom was stronger than ever. He tore through cars like paper, through chunks of concrete like weapons, and laughed while doing it. The sound of his laugh made even the bravest hearts shiver. Venom lunged again, his claws aiming for Spider-Man's chest. Spider-Man twisted in midair, dodging just in time, but Venom's strike cut through an entire lamppost. Sparks burst, wires snapped, and the street lit up with fire. Spider-Man landed hard, his feet skidding across the broken ground, but he did not let go of his focus. He knew this fight was only getting worse. Venom's power was unnatural, and that meant it had a source. If he could find the source, he could end this. Venom's body glowed brighter with every strike. The golden veins pulsed like they were alive, and Spider-Man noticed something. Each time Venom hit the ground, the glow spread wider, like a signal being sent into the earth. It was not just random energy, it was a message. Something out there was watching, and something out there was answering. Who gave you this power? Spider-Man shouted, his voice echoing through the ruins. He swung again, his web pulling him toward Venom. His punch landed squarely on Venom's jaw, but Venom only smiled, his sharp teeth dripping with saliva. "You'll see soon," Venom growled, his tongue flicking across the air. "You'll see who really rules this world." The words made Spider-Man pause for a moment. This was no longer just Venom's madness. This was something planned, something bigger. But he had no time to think. Venom slammed his claw into the ground, sending a shockwave that knocked Spider-Man off his feet. The ground split open, and from the cracks, strange glowing roots began to crawl upward. They looked alive, pulsing with the same golden energy that ran through Venom's veins. Spider-Man's eyes widened. The roots reached for him like hands, trying to pull him down. He leaped away, firing webs to swing himself to safety, but the roots spread faster, breaking through the streets, climbing the buildings, wrapping around cars. The entire city was being swallowed by alien energy. People screamed as the ground lit up beneath them, the world they knew turning into something foreign and terrifying. Venom roared, his voice echoing across the sky. "This is not your city anymore. This is the beginning of the new age." His body grew taller, his claws sharper, his presence heavier. He was no longer just a villain. He was a herald of something greater, something waiting in the shadows beyond Earth. Spider-Man tightened his fists. He would not let this city fall, not while he still breathed. He swung forward, slamming into Venom with full force. Their bodies crashed into each other like two meteors colliding. The ground broke apart, the shockwave sending cars flying and buildings shaking. Every punch they traded was a war in itself, every move a battle of survival. Spider-Man's strength was pushed to its limit, but his willpower burned brighter than ever. Venom's claws cut through Spider-Man's shoulder, tearing into his armor, but Spider-Man fought back, slamming his elbow into Venom's face. Blood and black ooze splattered across the ground. Venom roared in rage, his teeth snapping inches from Spider-Man's face, but Spider-Man's eyes stayed focused. He could not afford to show weakness, not when so many lives depended on him. Through the chaos, Spider-Man realized something important. Venom's body was not completely stable. The golden veins flickered, sometimes burning brightly, sometimes fading. It was as if the power inside him was fighting to control him, as if the symbiote itself was struggling to stay whole. If Spider-Man could push him to the limit, if he could make Venom lose control, maybe the power would turn against him. But Spider-Man also knew one thing. This was no longer just a fight for New York. This was the opening move in something far larger. If Venom was the first wave, then others would follow. And when they arrived, the real war would begin. Humanity was no longer just fighting a villain. Humanity was facing an invasion. Spider-Man stood tall, blood running from his wounds, his breathing heavy but steady. Venom grinned, his glowing body pulsing with alien light. Between them, the city burned. Both of them knew this was only the start, and neither was ready to back down. Asterisk. The city burned as the battle raged on. Fires lit up the streets, smoke filled the air, and the sound of destruction echoed for miles. Yet in the middle of the chaos, two figures stood locked in combat, Spider-Man and Venom. Their fight was no longer just about power. It was about survival. It was about who would control the future of the world. Spider-Man swung through the falling debris, dodging flaming cars and collapsing walls. His body ached, his suit was torn, and blood dripped from his wounds, but he refused to stop. He had seen Venom's power grow with every strike. The golden veins running through Venom's body glowed brighter now, as if something in the sky above was feeding him energy. Spider-Man's instincts told him the fight was connected to something far bigger than either of them. Venom's roar cut through the smoke, shaking windows and hearts alike. He leaped into the air, his claws glowing, and slammed down with the force of a meteor. The ground cracked open, flames shot upward, and shockwaves knocked Spider-Man back into the side of a building. Dust rained down as the wall crumbled, but Spider-Man forced himself to stand. His vision blurred for a moment, but he shook his head clear. He could not fall here. Not tonight. Venom stalked forward, his monstrous grin wide, his tongue flicking like a serpent. "You are nothing but a man in a suit," he hissed. "And I am more than that now. I am chosen. I am the beginning of the end." The golden glow pulsed stronger, spreading across his body like living fire. He looked less like a man and more like an alien warlord, a messenger of something beyond the stars. Spider-Man's voice was steady, even as his chest rose and fell heavily. "Maybe you're stronger, maybe you've got new tricks, but this city is still mine, and I won't let you take it." He fired webs, pulling himself forward with sudden speed, and landed a powerful kick to Venom's chest. The impact sent Venom stumbling backward, smashing through cars and streetlights. For a moment, Spider-Man thought he had gained the upper hand, but Venom only laughed. His wounds healed instantly, the golden veins sealing the damage like armor. He rose again, taller, fiercer, unstoppable. Spider-Man's heart pounded. He had fought Venom before, but never like this. Whatever was controlling him had turned Venom into something no human could face alone. Yet Spider-Man was not ready to give up. Humanity's strength was not just in power, it was in will. The ground shook again as the glowing roots from earlier spread faster, climbing the tallest buildings, wrapping around bridges, and reaching for the sky. They pulsed in rhythm like a heartbeat, and Spider-Man realized with horror that they were not just spreading, they were calling. The energy was a signal, a beacon, summoning something far beyond Earth. Venom was not lying. This was only the beginning. Spider-Man swung high above the streets, trying to break the roots with his webs, tearing them apart wherever he could. But for every root he destroyed, 3 more burst from the ground, glowing brighter and stronger. The city itself was turning alien, changing under his feet. Humanity's home was becoming something else, and he was the only line of defense standing in the way. Venom leaped after him, crashing into the side of a skyscraper. The two clashed high above the city, their fight shaking steel and glass. Windows shattered as they exchanged blows, their fists echoing like thunder. Venom's claws slashed across Spider-Man's armor, leaving deep cuts, while Spider-Man countered with lightning-fast punches and kicks. Their battle was not just physical, it was a war of wills, and neither would bow. At one point, Venom pinned Spider-Man against the glass, his claws pressing against his throat. His teeth were inches from Spider-Man's mask, his hot breath heavy. "With rage, you can't win," he growled. "The Masters are coming, When they arrive, this world will kneel, and you will watch it burn." Spider-Man grabbed Venom's wrists, his strength nearly gone, but his voice was sharp. "If they're coming, then they'll face me too, and I don't kneel to anyone." With a sudden surge, he kicked Venom back, sending him crashing through the skyscraper and into the streets below. The impact was massive, shaking the ground like an earthquake. Spider-Man landed moments later, his knees weak, his body battered. He could hear sirens in the distance, but no help would arrive in time. This was his fight, and his alone. The city was on the edge of falling, and above him, the sky began to change. Clouds twisted unnaturally, glowing with the same golden light that pulsed through Venom. Something was breaking through. Something was coming. Spider-Man clenched his fists, standing tall despite the pain. The war was not just against Venom anymore. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity's place in the universe was at stake. He was ready to face whatever came, even if it meant standing alone against the stars. The sky above the city glowed with unnatural light. Clouds swirled like a storm, but inside them pulsed golden fire, alive and watching. The roots spreading from the ground now connected with the sky, creating a web of alien energy that covered New York like a cage. People looked up in terror, their screams lost in the chaos. They had no idea what was breaking through, but they knew it was not human. Spider-Man stood in the middle of the ruined street, his chest rising and falling heavily, his mask torn, his body bleeding. Yet his eyes stayed sharp behind the mask. He had fought monsters before, but this was different. This was an invasion, and Venom was its messenger. The alien roots, the glowing veins, the storm in the sky, it was all part of a larger design. He could feel it in his bones. Something bigger was coming. Venom rose from the crater where he had fallen, his body pulsing with golden light. His form seemed less stable now, shifting and twisting, like the alien power was trying to consume him entirely. His laughter echoed, deep and terrifying, making the buildings around him tremble. "Do you feel it, Spider-Man? The Master's here. U.S. They are crossing the veil. Soon this world will be theirs." His claws scraped against the pavement as he moved forward, more beast than man. Spider-Man tightened his fists. His body screamed in pain, but he forced himself to stand tall. "If they're coming, then they'll have to go through me first," he said, his voice steady even as his legs shook. Venom roared in fury and charged, his claws glowing brighter than before. The ground broke apart as he moved, and Spider-Man swung forward, meeting him head-on. Their clash was like thunder. Spider-Man's fists struck Venom's face again and again, each blow fueled by sheer will. Venom countered with claws that sliced through steel and concrete, sparks flying each time they connected with Spider-Man's armor. The two warriors fought like titans, neither giving an inch. But while Venom's power came from alien fire, Spider-Man's strength came from something greater, his human spirit. High above, the storm finally broke. A massive rift split the sky open, and from it light poured down. Shapes moved within the glow, vast and alien, their forms hidden by the veil of energy. But their presence was undeniable. They were watching. They were judging. They were preparing to step onto Earth. Venom's body shone brighter, feeding on their arrival, his size growing, his claws sharper. He was their weapon, their first soldier, their chosen destroyer. Spider-Man's heart pounded as he realized the truth. This was not just about New York. This was about Earth itself. If he failed here, the entire world would fall. Humanity would become prey, ruled by masters from beyond the stars. And yet, standing in the middle of the broken city, blood dripping from his mask, Spider-Man whispered to himself, "Not while I'm still standing." Venom lunged, his claws aiming for Spider-Man's heart. At the last second, Spider-Man twisted, grabbed Venom's arm, and used his momentum to slam him into the side of a building. The structure cracked and fell, burying Venom under tons of concrete. For a moment, Spider-Man stood still, breathing hard, his body trembling. But then the rubble exploded outward, and Venom emerged again, stronger than before. The alien glow wrapped around him like armor, unbreakable and terrifying. You cannot stop what is already here, Venom hissed, his voice echoing with something not his own. It was deeper, layered, like many voices speaking through him. The Masters were speaking through Venom now, using him as their mouth. You are fragile, you are mortal. Humanity was never meant to rise above the stars. Spider-Man wiped the blood from his chin and smiled beneath the mask, though his lips were cut. Maybe we're fragile, maybe we're small, but we don't give up. That's why you'll never win. His words cut through the night, and though Venom laughed, there was a flicker of something else in his eyes. Doubt. The ground shook harder as more alien roots burst from beneath, wrapping around skyscrapers, pulling them down. The city was falling apart. The rift in the sky widened, and now massive shadows moved closer, their shapes clearer. They looked like warships, alive and breathing, their bodies made of golden light and dark matter. The invasion had begun, and Spider-Man was the only one. Standing between humanity and destruction, his body hurt. His strength was nearly gone, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. He fired web after web, pulling himself higher, leaping onto the tallest remaining tower. From there, he looked up at the rift in the sky, the alien ships breaking through, and then down at Venom, who stood ready to tear him apart. The city was gone, the world was changing. But Spider-Man whispered to himself the only truth that mattered. As long as I fight, humanity fights with me. The sky split open, and the first of the alien ships descended. They were massive, like floating fortresses, their bodies glowing with golden veins of living light. The sound they made was not like engines, but like a heartbeat, slow and heavy, shaking the air. People fell to their knees in fear, watching the impossible unfold. Earth had never faced anything like this before. Spider-Man stood on the tallest remaining tower, his mask cracked, his suit torn, and his blood dripping down his arm. Yet he did not step back. He looked up at the ships, then down at Venom, who roared with pride as the alien masters arrived. Venom raised his arms to the sky, his body glowing brighter, his voice echoing like thunder. They are here, the true rulers of this world. Witness the end of humanity. Spider-Man clenched his fists. His body screamed in pain, but his will stayed strong. He fired a web and launched himself down toward Venom. Their clash shook the ground once more, their fists colliding with enough force to shatter cars and tear holes in the pavement. Venom fought like a god, his strength endless, his body unbreakable. But Spider-Man's strikes carried something Venom could not match. Resolve. As they battled, the alien ships began to release their first soldiers. Tall figures of golden light stepped from the beams that poured down, their forms shifting and strange, neither flesh nor machine. Their eyes glowed with power as they looked upon the broken city. To them, Earth was nothing but another conquest, another planet to claim. They moved with silent precision, their weapons forming from their own glowing bodies, ready to wipe away resistance. Spider-Man's eyes narrowed. He knew he could not fight both Venom and these soldiers at the same time. He had to think, had to move smarter. He swung high, pulling Venom after him, dragging the battle toward the invading soldiers. Venom roared, not realizing Spider-Man's plan, and charged blindly. When Venom crashed into the nearest group of golden warriors, they turned their weapons on him, mistaking him for an enemy. Blasts of golden energy struck Venom, forcing him back with a scream. Spider-Man landed nearby, his chest heaving. He saw his chance. The aliens were powerful, but they were not perfect. They attacked everything that moved, even their own herald. Venom stumbled as more blasts hit him, the glow on his body flickering as if struggling to stay stable. For the first time, Spider-Man saw weakness. If he could push Venom into fighting against his masters, maybe he could turn the tide. "You hear that, Venom?" Spider-Man shouted, dodging a blast of alien fire. "They don't care about you. You're nothing but their puppet. They'll throw you away the second you fail." His words cut through the noise like a blade. Venom froze for a moment, his glowing eyes narrowing. Then he snarled and struck Spider-Man again, smashing him into the side of a broken bus. But his rage was not as steady as before. Spider-Man could see the doubt burning inside him. The alien soldiers advanced, their glowing weapons slicing through steel and stone. Spider-Man forced himself to stand, his body shaking. He leaped forward, firing webs at their weapons, pulling them off balance. With every move, he kept them busy, kept them focused on him. Humanity had to see that someone was still fighting, that someone was standing against the impossible. Even if he fell, he wanted the world to know humans would never surrender. Venom roared and tore through several soldiers, ripping their glowing forms apart with his claws. Golden sparks rained across the battlefield as alien energy bled into the air. But instead of rewarding him, the ships above poured more firepower down, blasts striking Venom as if to remind him who controlled him. Venom screamed in fury, shaking the ground. And Spider-Man realized the truth. Venom's rage was turning not just against him, but against the very masters who had given him power. The battle became chaos. Spider-Man fought with speed, dodging blasts, taking down soldiers where he could, webbing their weapons, pulling them into each other. Venom fought with fury, tearing through everything in his path, no longer caring who stood against him. The city became a storm of fire, energy, and destruction. Yet through it all, Spider-Man stood unbroken. Every breath he took, every punch he threw, every step he made carried one message: humanity fights back. Above, the largest ship moved closer, its shadow covering the city. A voice boomed through the air, deep and commanding, speaking in a language older than Earth, but Spider-Man understood the meaning without needing translation. It was a declaration of conquest. The Masters had arrived. The invasion was in full force. And the final battle was about to begin. Spider-Man stood tall, his body broken, but his spirit unshaken. Venom growled across from him, torn between his loyalty to his alien masters and his own rage. The soldiers closed in, their glowing eyes locked on humanity's last defender. The sky burned, the city shook, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The war was no longer just Spider-Man versus Venom. It was humanity versus the universe. Asterisk, the largest alien ship hovered above the ruined city, its golden light spreading like a second sun. The voice of the Masters thundered across the sky, speaking through Venom, through the glowing roots, through the air itself. This world is ours. Humanity will kneel. Their power was overwhelming, their presence crushing. It felt like the weight of the universe had landed on Earth. Spider-Man stood bloodied, but unbroken, his mask torn, his body trembling. His chest rose and fell in ragged breaths, yet his eyes burned with the fire of defiance. He looked at Venom, who growled like a beast chained by invisible hands. The alien glow wrapped around Venom's body, but Spider-Man could see it now. Venom was not in full control. The Masters were using him like a weapon, draining his will, feeding on his rage. Spider-Man's voice cut through the chaos, steady and human. "You think you own him. You think you own us. But you don't understand humanity. We don't kneel, we fight." His words carried, not just to Venom, but to the people hiding in the ruins, to the world watching through shattered screens, to anyone who still had hope left in their hearts. Venom roared in anger, but there was hesitation in his eyes. The alien Masters pushed their will harder, forcing him forward, claws glowing with deadly fire. Spider-Man braced himself. This was it, the final strike. If Venom killed him, humanity's last defender would fall. But Spider-Man did not step back. He opened his arms, daring Venom to choose. If you're just their puppet, then strike me down. But if there's anything left of Eddie Brock in there, then fight them, not me. For a heartbeat, everything stopped. The city held its breath. The ships above dimmed their glow, waiting for their champion to deliver the final blow. Venom's claws trembled inches from Spider-Man's chest. His glowing veins flickered, unstable. Then, with a roar that shook the heavens, Venom turned not towards Spider-Man, but toward the sky. He slashed upward, tearing through the golden roots, ripping the alien energy apart. The Masters screamed through him, furious, but Venom fought back, his body shaking under their control. Spider-Man moved instantly, firing webs at the broken roots, pulling them apart, severing the connection. The ground shuddered as the alien network collapsed, their control weakening. The soldiers of light faltered, their forms flickering like dying flames. The ships above groaned, their glow dimming, their power draining as their link to Earth was cut. Venom screamed in agony, golden fire ripping through his body as the Masters tried to burn him from the inside. Spider-Man leapt forward, grabbing him, holding him steady. "Fight it, Eddie, you're not their weapon. You're more than this." His voice was desperate, human, real. And for the first time, Venom's monstrous grin faded. Through the black ooze and golden glow, Spider-Man saw Eddie's eyes, tired, pained, but still there. With a final roar, Venom turned his fury fully against the Masters. His claws tore the last of the alien roots, his body burning as the connection snapped. The ships above shuddered violently, their beams collapsing, their forms crumbling as if the very air rejected them. The sky cleared with a blinding flash, and the rift closed like a wound being sealed. The alien Masters were forced back, their invasion shattered. Silence fell over the ruined city. Fires still burned, smoke still rose, but the golden glow was gone. The alien soldiers vanished like dust, leaving only wreckage behind. Spider-Man dropped to his knees, exhausted, his body broken but alive. Venom staggered, his monstrous form shrinking, the glow gone. He fell to the ground, breathing heavily, the symbiote weak but no longer controlled by alien Masters. For a moment, the two enemies sat in silence. Then Eddie Brock's voice rasped through the broken mask. We stopped them." Spider-Man looked at him, his body aching, and nodded slowly. "Yeah, but they'll be back, and when they come, humanity will be ready." His words carried the weight of truth. The fight was not just for one city or one world. It was for the future of all humanity. Venom slumped against the rubble, his body fading into silence. Whether he lived or died, Spider-Man could not tell. But for now, the invasion was over. Spider-Man looked around at the broken city, the people slowly emerging from the ruins. They looked at him with fear, with awe, but most of all with hope. He was proof that even against the universe, humans could stand. The night sky slowly cleared, stars shining through once more. Spider-Man stood tall, his silhouette framed against the ruins, his body trembling but his spirit unbroken. The world would remember this battle. They would remember that when the Masters came to claim Earth, a single human stood in their way. And that was enough, because humanity's true power was not strength or weapons. It was the refusal to bow. And that was something no alien empire could ever conquer.